Hear me. All right. So I have been blabbing and talking, but I have been on mute. So thank God now I'm unmuted. So hopefully, I'm sure you guys can hear me now. So as I said, Talk with Mrs. is live and direct. I am sure that a number of you will be wondering where the Mrs. is. Well, the Mrs. is in America. She's gone to minister there this for the weekend, and then she'll be back. But Talk with Mrs. will be going on today, and I'm sure that we are going to have a very, very refreshing time. I want to encourage you, as we would normally do, to get your devices and invite others, because the conversation today is really going to be life transforming, and I want to make sure that no one miss out of it. Our guest is ready already with us in the studio, so I will be bringing our special guest in today shortly. But before we do that, let's get you inviting others. Let's get the house full, and then we will get into the conversation. Now, Talk with the Missus, as you know, is a real conversation. Many of you have been joining, and you know that is very practical. There are no common flag with it. It is just a real conversation that impacts lives and transforms people. And today promises to be one of those episodes that you will be glad that you are part of. And I'm sure that you will be imparted for being part of it. So give me a few seconds, and I'm going to bring in our guest. I think it's always good when people introduce themselves. So I would say a little about her, and then I would let her introduce herself. And so here with me on the studio is Magdalene Usikaro. It is nice to have you with us today. I'm excited that you're with me and you're able to make the time to join for Talk with the Missus today. And for our audience, Magdalene Usikaro is someone I've known for many, many years. I'm telling you. Okay, let me tell you, so you can just it helps your mind to know how long I have known her. She's one of those people who can call me Moses. Do you understand? A lot of people find it difficult to just call me Moses. Yeah, they either say Pastor Moses, Evangelist Moses, and all of that. But she's one of those people who can call me Moses. That tells you how long I have known her, or she has known me for way, 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 way back from, like childhood, also days, teenage years, I think, from that time. So I am super, super excited to have her with us on the broadcast today. Now, Magdalene is the founder and CEO of the Music Relief Foundation, a charity that is dedicated to empowering young people and grassroots communities through music. She established, the MRF in 2011, inspired by her experience as a teenage parent and the transformative power of music. So having her here today is really going to be a blessing. Over the years, the foundation has expanded its mission to support young people facing various challenges, including mental health issues, knife crime, and safeguarding issues. Now, beyond her work with MRF, Magdalene is actively involved in community leadership. She serves as the chair of governors for both primary and secondary schools, is a trustee at the Africa, a member of the, I don't know, is that pronounced as Africa, or should it be AFRUCA? Yeah?
It's Africa.
Africa, okay. A member of the UK BME, that's Anti-Slavery Network, a fellow with the Royal Society of Arts, co-chair of the Croydon Northeast Local Partnership and a member of the Croydon Youth Crime Board. So you can see she wears so many hats. She is also a singer, songwriter, and I know that one. At least I know that one. Author and coach, using her creative talents to inspire and uplift others. So having her here today is just a blessing. I'd like to welcome you, Magdalene, to talk with the missus. And I'd like you to just say hi to the people. And then, I know I've read your short profile, but just tell people who you are before I start welcoming our audience in. Now, whilst you're doing that, I'm going to be doing some sharing. So I'm hearing what you're saying, okay?
Okay. So yeah. Good evening, everybody, and good evening, Moses. We're not even friends. We're siblings. I swear.
Yes,
we are siblings, and we are the same year. You just happen to be the same age year. You're May, I'm November, but hey. Yeah. So yes, good evening, everybody. Thank you for reading my bio. I am Magdalene. I like to call myself a game changer.
Yeah.
I'm a visionary leader and a game changer, because in the times that we're living in, you cannot be static. You have to learn how to evolve at all times. You cannot keep doing the same thing over and over and expect a change. You need to learn how to reinvent yourself. You need to learn to move with the times, but not lose yourself whilst moving with the times. It's so important, because there are things that are always changing. And for someone that works with young people in that youth sphere, it's something that you have to be adaptable to be able to know what is happening in order for you to continue to remain relevant. And also not just about working with young people, but being able to influence policy that will ensure the best outcome at every given moment in time. So yeah, that's who I am.
Great. So Magdalene, you're welcome. I'm super excited that you're here. And guys, let us know, all those of you who have already joined, let us know where you are joining from. This is very important. Let us know you're joining and where you're joining from. So we've got Elaine Shirley, and she's saying, good afternoon, my favorite people. Blessings to everyone. And she's saying loud and clear. So I think she's saying that she can hear me loud and clear. Can you tell us, Elaine? I know where you are, but let the audience know where you're joining in from, okay? We've got, is that Kahunde 256, who said, hi to you. Can you indicate where you are joining in from? And we've got Amika who said, greetings from Newcastle. Great to have you. We've got Sean Johnson who said, good day, Pastor Moses. Can't wait to see Lady Choma this weekend. Yes, she's with you in Florida, and she's going to be a blessing. I've mentioned where you're joining it from, but you write it down as well. Let us know. Okay. And then we've got Gisela. Gisela is joining. Greetings from Austria. All right, Gisela, great to have you with us from Austria. Fene is watching and ready to learn. Let us know where you're joining from. Gisela said, greetings from Austria. Please pray for me. I'm in the hospital. Oh, we pray the healing power of God to touch you. I rebuke the infirmity is out of your life in Jesus' name. Amen. You will come out completely well. No more infirmity in Jesus' name. Ellen said, Jamaica. Wow, you both actually look alike too. Welcome. She is great to have you joining from Jamaica. So we've got Jamaica, we've got USA, we've got Austria. Who else have we got? We've got Ifoma said, greetings from SSUK. Great to have you with us today. Deaconess Ifoma. God bless you. We've got Obed Okolo, who is also with us. All right, Magdalene, I'm going to get straight in the discussion. And guys, I want you to join in. Now, I brought in Magdalene. Magdalene's story is a very, I would call it a unique one, because it's a story that has ups and downs, disappointments and reappointments. And, but she's a strong woman. She's come through things that have made her who she is. And I mean, you heard me when I was reading her profile just now and all the different hats that she wears, both in the community, in the council, and just everywhere. And seeing people joining in this, okay, Classic said from USA, South Florida, great. Okay, this is Pastor No's greetings from Nigeria. So we've got people joining from everywhere. We're glad that you're all joining. Please share the broadcast as well and get others to join in. So Magdalene, tell us your story. I mean, Magdalene is a pastor's daughter. Yeah. So how I actually got to know Magdalene, many of you know that I started preaching from a childhood age. Her dad invited me to minister at their church. And this was years back when I was really young. I would pass for a child, if you like. And obviously, I think I was a teenager. And, you know, Magdalene, like Magdalene said, we're born the same year. So you can imagine my age group. And I remember, Magdalene, I don't know if you still remember, you guys took me, yourself, your sister, and some of the youths in your church took me to the cinema in, where's this place? I can't remember. We went to watch movies. We went to eat. We went out, you know, to do quite a number of things in that era. So Magdalene, like we read from her profile, she was a teenage parent. Tell us about that, Magdalene. You know, as a pastor's child, what happened that you ended up as a teenage parent? Boy, for that matter.
Yes. So I was born in Nigeria. So that was born and then came to the United Kingdom with my younger sister in 1992 at age 11.
Yeah.
And so I talk about when you gave my bio and I said to introduce myself, I talk about youth and ensuring that their voices are heard. Mm-hmm. Not didn't use those words, but I kind of was relating to it. I was doing youth work in Nigeria even before I knew what youth work was. And I remember having a discussion with my younger sister, a few days ago. And I was like, they used to place me on the table to be doing Sunday school, just like you as well, when they used to place you on the table. Wow. And so I was doing all this youth work. So I'm coming from a place where I'm very confident and I'm working with young people in my neighborhood, in church. So I'm a confident young person. Then coming over to the United Kingdom because my parents brought us over. I was 11 years old at that time. But the thing that when I came to this country, outside of the cold, because we came in March, it was freezing, absolutely cold. It was a culture shock to the weather, to the food, but most especially to bullying. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I'm a confident young girl. What's all this bullying about? I'm speaking English. You can hear me. You can definitely hear me. Why are you bullying me? It's because of the accent. Then it was the Queen's accent, but now it's the King. So it's the King's accent. I didn't have the King's accent. So I was being bullied because of that. And so that had a knock-on effect. So I did the last 6 months of primary school and I started secondary school. And primary school, they were laughing at me and all the like. So the summer holiday came, went into secondary school the same year of 92, thinking, oh, that period is over, fantastic. Enter secondary school, it was like the plague. No one was speaking to me. I was just by myself. However, my younger sister, she's getting the accent. He's like she was born in this country. She's flying with it. And I'm like, what's going on? So we did year 7, year 8, and then year 8, we moved from the area to North London. So I left the school because now I'm in a different area. And ironically, when we moved to North London, where we were was predominantly Blacks and Asians. But when we moved to North London, it was predominantly whites. I was more accepted there. And I was being invited to people's houses, just like it was back home in Nigeria. And so I was now speaking and my confidence was growing and I'm beginning to pick up this accent. I'm speaking English, but it's just this accent. So I'm picking it up. But then what happened is that then we moved back to South London. So we were initially South London, went to North, and we moved back to South London. And then funny enough, I went back into the same school. But this time around, confidence level is up the roof. And so, we're doing so. But long story short, I'm in the school going on year 9, year 10, year 11. Yes, year 11. And then went to sixth form in the same school. And so all along, I was not thinking boys. I was just like friends and everything. But then we came to year sixth form now. And then this whole boys thing started to come into play. And I'm like, long story short, met with this guy. And to be honest, I tell people, but people don't believe me. I'm like, I did not know that if you did man and woman business, you're gonna have a baby. I did not know that at 16, almost 17, and people look at me like, but I did not know that because there was no discussion about that. So, anyways, we started being together and all the like without really knowing what it was. And I remember he said to me one time, he said, "Oh, you need to go to the chemist and get this thing called morning after pill." So I was like, "What is that?" It's like, "You need to go and get it." So I went there and they were asking questions. They gave it to me, but long story short, obviously it did not work. I found myself pregnant. When I found myself pregnant, I think I got confirmed. I was, I think, about 12 weeks gone already. Because I didn't have morning sickness. I had full-on headaches and I was taking paracetamol, but they were not going. And so I remember we went to St. Thomas's Hospital and we came out and they confirmed this, okay, you're 12 weeks. And he was like, "Oh, whatever you want to do, I will stand by you." I was like, "Excuse me, what do you mean, whatever I want to do?" But the reality sunk in that, okay, you have Nigerian parents and your pastors. We need to.
Yeah, and your dad is a pastor
exactly.
as well.
You need to figure out something.
Yeah, and you're how old were you then? 17.
17. So I was like, you need to figure out what you're gonna do because you can't just go home and say, "Hey ho, this is the news." No, it doesn't work like that. Actually tried to abort him twice before my parents found out. I remember one of my friends said to me, she said, "Oh, I can go with you home and we'll speak to your parents. We'll sit them, then I'll speak to your parents." And I looked at her. Funny enough, we're going to be meeting this weekend. I looked at her and I said to her, "You're Nigerian and I'm Nigerian. How do you think that's going to work?" She was like, "Yeah." So yeah, but long story short, eventually my mom was
because you think of the combination. You're Nigerian with Nigerian parents.
Yes.
Then your dad is a pastor.
Yep, your PK.
Yeah. So coming to put that kind of news.
It doesn't go.
Yeah.
When they found out, my mom, may her soul rest in peace, she was spitting fire. She was upset is not the word. Upset is not the word. The words that she used, again, may her soul rest in peace. It was, I don't use anything against it. It was anger. It was frustration. It was everything. For 3 months in the same house, it's like walking on eggshells. Literally like walking on eggshells until belly was growing. I was still going to school. So I was in sixth form. I was still going to school. I was still wearing the same clothes because I'm not working. He's not working. So I was quite small. So I'm wearing the same clothes I would normally wear, but it looks ridiculous. Now your belly shooting out and everything's just. So she looked at me one day and she's like, "You look ridiculous." That's what she said. She said, "Can't this boy buy you maternity clothes?" And that's how I know that my dad had been praying and talking to her to kind of get her to calm down. Because when my mom went
so your dad was the calmer one.
He was a calmer one.
Okay. So your mom's reaction was more intense than your dad's.
Exactly. We used to call her, well, I used to call her the Margaret Thatcher of the Usikaro family because Iron Lady. But once she turned around, the atmosphere in the house changed. She turned around and then maternity clothes started to be bought and everything. But then again, you're a pastor's child. You don't just stay pregnant and just be like that. No. We have to rectify what has gone wrong. So we got to get married. So that's the next step. So let me not go ahead of my time.
Yes. I mean, we're going to get to that. I picked on something that, when you're telling the story that, you were 17. And at 17, you didn't know that, if, you get into intimacy with a guy, that you would get pregnant. And that's primarily because this is not something that is discussed at home. Now, from that experience, now you're a matured woman, you know, in your 40s now. When you look back, you know, because there are parents who are watching online, there are young people also who are watching. I hope so. You know, do you think that, you know, conversations about sex, intimacy is conversations that parents should have at home with their sons, with their daughters? And if they should, you know, what would you say would be around the kind of age to start having conversation? Now, I know that it can be an awkward conversation for especially for parents to have with their own children, but maybe if you knew better, it would have helped you. So, because I picked on that, and I think that probably also played a role.
That played a massive role. And again, I do not put any blame on the parents. They do what they remember. They came from, they were in the UK before, they went back home and they came back. So their whole thing is that let's work. So they were constantly, so I don't put any blame. They can only do what they know.
Yeah.
So I think it's important, but also I want to put this here that especially coming from the Christian background, the church background, we spiritualize everything and we don't talk about this. And it's important that you talk about it. And you asked about what age. I think the best time, because if we're not talking about it, before I go into the age, if we're not talking about it, the schools will talk about it, especially the way things are going right now.
Yeah.
And I think that at the age, when the child gets to the age of understanding, whatever that age is, you don't go in full on, you begin to, you gauge the understanding of your child. So every child is different. And begin to have that open discussion, because there has to be an open discussion. Hence, so that way the children are continuously open to you. Because we can say, oh, let us pray about it. I'm going to work. I'm busy. If they're not talking to you, they're talking to somebody.
Yeah.
Because this morning, I just quickly, my daughter, she got on a bus going to school and she called me. She's like, oh, mommy, they're now changing some buses and they're making some buses LGBTQ. I was like, okay, why? She's like, the stairs all has the color of the rainbow. You can see it's like
inside the bus.
In the bus, yes.
Oh my God.
It's the color of the rainbow. So it's very subliminal, but that's what I'm saying. If you are not speaking to them, somebody else or things are speaking to them. So once the child gets to the place of understanding, we need to have this open and honest discussion. As much as the parents, you have to gauge it. But the conversations has to be ongoing.
Okay, I'm going to get to something. And please, people, as we're all watching, you know, if you have a question, put it. If you have a comment as well, put it. I see Pastor Porcher said this bullying because of accent in the 1990 resonates. So she can relate with that. We've got Michelle here watching from Florida. Nice to have you with us. So, you know, so really, I think from one of the things we're gathering from this is the fact that parents, you know, have to take the step, no matter how awkward, because if you don't have the conversation now, you will be forced to have the conversation later, God forbid, because like in your own case, your parents didn't have a conversation about, you know, sex and all of that with you. But then when you got pregnant, the conversation is staring at everybody's face. It's no longer avoidable, is it? So it is important that we can. And I think also we've had a broadcast here on Talk with the Missus where we're talking about this. And we were saying that, you know, it's important that you find a way to have that conversation. Because if you don't, like you said, you know, somebody is going to have that conversation. And sometimes maybe friends or adverts, and even these days, you know, social media is going to have this conversation. And if they paint, and you know how human beings are, once a picture is painted, if you're not coming later, you have to overcome that initial picture before you can get through to the person. Because the first time, there's the thing about the law of first mention. People believe the first thing they hear. So for you to overcome it becomes a problem. But what was the reaction? Because your dad is a pastor, so you're dealing not just with your parents, your mom, church people as well. Now you are 17, you're pregnant. I don't think that they would have been clapping for you
Oh
or
my God.
applauding you.
That's a very good question. And the truth of the matter is that in as much as my parents were pastor, everybody, the Bible says everybody must work out your salvation with work out your calling with fear and
Trend.
trembling.
Yeah.
And the truth of the matter is that if it was not God, I would have gone completely away from the church, because the church people, and this is a message for every single person watching who is from church, we need to stop this. The church people were the number one persecutors. I remember the church that we used to go to. You used to come to that church as well. I'm not going to mention the name.
Yeah.
The pastor's wife, she's passed now, may her soul rest in peace. I used to be in the choir. I remember one day they finished church and we were all outside, just socializing. She walked up to me and she said, this is her words. What did she say? I'll use her accent. You are such a disgrace and you call yourself a pastor's child.
Oh.
Those were her words. And
Really?
I say this 26 years later, almost 27 because he wasn't born then. I still remember it. And so she said, I don't want you polluting my altar. So you have to leave the choir. So now the thing that I love to do, I can't do anymore in public because I've been told I'm polluting the choir. I've been told I'm a disgrace. Bearing in mind, I said that my mom said some words as well. So you've dealt with all of those ones already. And now it's the public now. There were loads of people who were speaking, but I'm talking about the ones who had the guts to tell me in my face.
Yeah.
So then at that point now, you're deflated. You can't sing in the choir anymore. But I didn't have I didn't have many young people would just rebel. I think my rebellion was that thing. I didn't have that rebellion. So I'm not going to church anymore. I didn't even have that. I still have to come to church, but just sit there and just be watching them.
Yeah. All right. I've got Ellen said definitely parents should. So parents should have the conversation about sex with their children, because then they have a bit more control over misguided assumption. I can relate to being naive and afraid or timid to talk or ask about it. Yeah. And then we've got this WOTS Sports said, parents must find a way to break the cycle and be an open book with their children. She continued by saying, we will have an open door. So if you become an open book with your children, you would have an open door. Okay, so we can see here a number of things. One, the role that lack of knowledge played, because, and sometimes, no, not sometimes, the way God is wired, man, your emotions don't wait. You get to a certain age, puberty will come. And so your body system is changing and certain feelings are coming. It's God that put it there. It's just that it is for a time. And if you are not properly guided, you end up abusing something that is supposed to be good. But if those who are supposed to also guide you, inform you, and impart knowledge don't impart it, then it can play a role in that. And obviously, human beings are very judgmental, and maybe church people are even more judgmental than anyone else, because you bring the element. But I think to speak, I'm not saying that the church should applaud you. No. I don't think that they should applaud you. I think they should make you see that this is not the path you should have walked. But in love, the Bible speaks of correcting in love. Someone to walk up to you and say, you are a disgrace, you are polluting. I don't want you to come and be polluting. It's those are very strong words. And the things that some people don't know how to talk to. So
that's true. That is true.
Some people, that's the truth. Some people don't just know how to talk. Yeah, because what they have said, someone else would say it, but it would not be
as punchy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think people need to learn how to talk and be gracious words to rebuild. I'm going to come to more question, but let me read some of this comment. Oyibo Agogo, I think she's where you joining from? I think maybe from South Africa also. I think the church should still correct when we go wrong. If not, it will look normal, but it should be done in a friendly way to draw the individual back. Yes?
Correct.
Yes. Okay, this is Pastor Princess. I think she's in Sierra Leone. She said the church has truly got to do better. Yeah. And Fene said, funny enough, some children already know what you are thinking. They are too small to know. How they were told is the danger. So in this time and age, because of social media and all of that, so it's important that parents, have that conversation because your children already know. Okay, Oyibo says she's in South Africa. So let's move forward then. So now you're pregnant. Now you're facing all of this backlash. And, I know that, I don't know, when I met you or knew you, were you already married then?
I was already married, yes.
Yes, you were already married, yeah. I think when I knew you, you were already married, but you were very young. So tell us about that,
So yeah,
like I said, pregnancy and all of that, and then were you married then to the father of the?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay, so tell us what happened there. Was it a marriage that, okay, we're in love, we plan to marry, or it was a...
Tina Turner says, what's love got to do with it? so it was a case of you're pregnant, and we need to do the right thing, so you need to get married. So I think I was 8 months. I was very big. And the funny thing again, still with that naivety, I had nothing to wear because nothing fitted. And so I remember when I think I wore his shirt, like a stripy shirt, and I purposely wore that as like, okay, so that they will not see my belly. You can imagine what was going through my head. My belly is shooting out. Yeah. So I wore that for what was the engagement, because he's not an African. So we had to do not the normal way that we would do it as Nigerians, but something similar. So the pair family came to the house and all the like. So that was what I was wearing. That was in my mind. So we did that, and then 8 months, then 9 months. In 99, I had the boy. So it was in 2000. So I had him in 99. So we'd done the engagement. Then in 2000, we did this big wedding. It was a massive wedding. I remember it was hot, sunny August afternoon. Loads of people came, and the question was, what did they come for? And I remember one of my friends, you also know her, I'm not going to mention her name. She said she was in a car coming to the engagement, and the couple were driving. So she's a Robo like us, but the couple that were driving are from Benin, but she understands Benin. And they were speaking to themselves, not knowing that she understood, mocking me. I'm mocking the family, because remember I told you, it's the people that had the guts to speak to me in my face, and there were other people who were speaking behind. Yeah. So she told me later on what they were saying in terms of mocking me, and obviously my family as well. But so when it came to the day of the wedding in 2000, there were loads of people. I mean, the church was jam-packed. And for me, I remember with my friend, the way we were planning it was like as if you're going for the ball, like Cinderella. All eyes on Cinderella. She's the belle of the hour. I wasn't thinking wedding. I wasn't thinking marriage. I was thinking, all eyes are on me.
Yeah.
You understand? That was what I was thinking. And remember, we're planning, you're going to walk down the aisle to this particular song, and this band are going to be playing, and you're going to walk down the aisle to that, so that all eyes are on you. It's going to look like this. was just planning as if you're going for a ball. You were not thinking, I didn't, what is love? What is wedding? What is marriage? What's all of these things? You're just doing it. So that's what happened. We did it. Yeah. And
so
we did it.
basically, and that was what? That was 2000.
2000, yes.
All right. And so you were what? You were still a teenager then? You're 19?
No, 19. So I was 19 I was still 19 because I
You were
my
19. Yeah.
yeah,
So this marriage then that was happening,
yeah.
whose idea was it? Was it family? Was
My
it like,
parents.
okay, well, like you said, you're pregnant for this person, so you've got to marry them?
Yeah, my
Was that
parents. Not his parent, because like I said, they're not Nigerians.
yeah?
They're Caribbean. So for them it wasn't,
So it was your parents
I was driving everything.
that was driving that. So
Mhm.
was it a way to cover a stigma or
To rectify the wrong, not to cover it, because
rectify?
obviously you
Okay,
can't cover the
well,
belly.
yeah. So it was seen as a way to rectify the wrong.
Yeah.
All right. But it didn't rectify the wrong.
It did not rectify the wrong. So I say to people that we were married on paper for 5 years.
Yeah.
We were married on paper for 5 years, but the reality is that it's two people that met in school.
Yeah.
I'm coming from someone that didn't know that if a man and a woman lay together, this is what happens. And then you have this child. You don't know all of this thing. But one thing I will say that in the process, I was like, okay, this boy is born now, and he's quite even now. He's very happy by himself doing his thing.
Yeah.
And so I was like, one thing I knew was like, okay, I want to have another child. And so that was a conscious decision that I made. I want to have another child, because for me, I was like, oh yeah, that's going to be it. It's going to have these 2 children, and that will be it. So I had the second child. That was a decision that I had the consciousness of making, not anybody else. It wasn't an accidental, nothing. It was me making this decision. But we were married on paper for 5 years. Yeah. But we were in mom and dad's house every day. Every day. Finish work, go to mom and dad, stay there till about 11 o'clock, go to the house, sleep, do the same thing the next day. Weekends, mom and dad sat after church on Sunday, yeah.
So really, in the real sense of it, because again, marriage is a future. I would call it a fusion of two people. And where you have a situation where a mistake has already been made, and I understand that what you're saying, because I remember when I was growing up as a child in those days, I saw a number of situations where people who felt pregnant for somebody, they said, oh, well, you have to marry the person. You have to marry the person. I think after some time, the people began to realize that, it's not going to work. But it was like a norm then. Okay, you're already pregnant for this person, you've got to marry them. And sometimes there's no really love, because really what got them together in the first place was lust, infatuation. Some of them don't even understand what marriage is. I mean, you were 19, and so it was not a choice that you were making. At this time, you almost probably have no say, because when somebody feels like they've made a mistake, it's like, okay, you're trying to please everybody, whatever they say. It's like, shut up your mouth, we're telling you what to do, and all of that. So
That's it.
and you get married, and then you put 5 years into it, and from what I'm hearing you say, it was just a marriage on paper. There was no real relationship. What if you don't mind sharing, and I mean, don't share whatever you would not want to share. What were the problems? Because there may be people on the altar who have had similar issues, maybe not married at 19, but similar issues in their marriage. What are some of the problems that were in marriage, and how did you? Because I know you you ended up divorcing uh, uh, and stepping out of that marriage. Was 5 years after the marriage. Yeah. So what were some of the things, and how did you get to that point where you knew that, I'm not in a marriage and I need to be out of this?
So, like I said, we were married on paper because we would go to work. So I'd finished sixth form. I decided I knew early on I didn't want to go to university. I thought I would never go, even though I did go much later. But I wanted to work. So I would go to work, he would go to work, I would come. There was no, in a marriage, like you said, it's two people coming together and having an understanding and building for something. For you to build, you have to communicate.
Yeah.
There is no communication. We're not having any communication. We're not planning. So I give you a typical example. We'd be at home in the odd days, and I mean very rare days that we were actually in the house at a good time, not in the middle of the night. We'll sit down and the television will be the thing talking. There is no communication because before my second was born, my mom literally took him. So people thought that he was my younger brother because she just took him. I was like, okay. But so we're there alone. There's no communication. We're not talking. What are we talking about? What are we planning? Because I remember sometimes like, okay, let's talk. We'll like, talk about what? So
Both of you're like two young people that were just thrown into a house.
Exactly. It's like, what are you talking about?
Both of you don't even know where you are going to.
You don't know where you're going to. You're just very misguided individuals. And so we're just there. And but one thing was for sure was that in this process, I'm learning to find myself. I'm finding my voice.
Yeah.
I'm finding my voice every day that turns to a week, that turns to a month, that turns to a year. I'm finding my voice. And so by the time we got to the point of divorce, I was the one that said, you know what? You guys are not going to, yes, you might have said, oh, you brought shame, but this time around, no. I'm going to put my foot down. This is not me. This is not going to be my future. It caused another hoo-ha again. It's like, oh God, here we go again. We thought we settled this. Here we go again. You're still the same child bringing shame to us, blah, blah, blah. We had all of that. My dad had to go home. He was troubled. He went back home. He consulted with various of his pastor friends. He was praying until one bishop said to him, listen, he gave him an example of his own child, how the man actually went to his daughter's marital home and took his daughter and his grandchild out. He said, before the man kills her, so that there was domestic violence in that particular one, he took her and brought her back to his place and said, listen, it's my child. That gave my dad confidence. And when he came back, he was like, okay, let's do the divorce.
Well, I think I'm going to get to, because I know you remarried, I'm going to get into that. But before I get into that, because today you work with a lot of youths and all of that, I think you'd probably be right to say that you've been able to turn your pain to gain, and you work in the community with a lot of youths. You've got a foundation that that helps youths and all of that. And I'm sure that the things you went through kind of have prepared you for what you do today.
What I went through is a catalyst for what I do today.
For what you do today.
It's a catalyst.
And yeah, there are people who are probably listening to us, who are joining in from different nations of the world, who have, and as a pastor, I've met people who have been through very challenging situations, and to come out of it, they find it difficult to talk about it like you're talking about it, and to then to come out of it, they find it difficult. So every day you see them, every year, is that thing is still holding them down. Then to talk about it is challenging. Then to use the lessons there and use it to impart, the next generation, so they don't fall into the same trap, and to help people and transform people, they find it difficult. But you have made that journey. How did you do it?
Like I said, when I called for the first divorce, I was beginning to find my voice. And the way I was able to find my voice, remember the church, the pastor's wife who said I could not join the choir and sing, that was because my dad was an evangelist at that time. The time I
Yeah.
got pregnant, he was an evangelist. Then he became a pastor and started our own church. And
Yeah.
so when we started our own church, I wasn't in the choir initially. We had
Yeah.
other people, but eventually I had no choice. I was pulled into the choir again because you have a voice. So it was from doing that. So you read my bio and it says I'm an author. So the title of
Yeah.
my book says from pain to I'm forgotten my title of my book now.
From pain to gain.
But there's a part that says music saved me.
Yeah.
Music was the music. Myself and music have become one. Me and music are like this. So that when I talk about music, I don't talk about just the listening of music or the playing of music. I'm talking about the power, the healing power behind music.
Yeah.
And sometimes some of the music I listen to, people be like, oh, but you're in a church and such and such. I'm not going to come here and be pretentious about it. There are
Yeah.
different influences that comes in that helps to bring about what it is that I'm trying to say, and it's helping, especially working within a community that is not church orientated. So you have to be open in that sense, but still knowing who you are, the core of who you are. So music was the catalyst that enabled me to have my voice. Music helped me to be able to combat. So I can sing, but if you called me at that time to speak, even on the same altar or the same stage, it would be like, I'm no longer singing, but let the ground open up, let it swallow me up, because I was so petrified. But over time, music began to help me, became the healing power that helped me. That music and finding it, the charity, it became the therapy for me to help me unleash all the pain. And so that way, when I work with various people within the community, people go through a lot.
Yeah.
I not only am able to empathize, I'm also able to sympathize and draw correlation to some of their issues.
All right, great, great. Honestly, I think we have to give you a lot of credit for what you do. And I know we're talking about the charity and the foundation and the things you do in the community. I am aware that today you do, not just today, for some years now, you do a lot in your dad's church. And it's almost like the stone that the builders rejected has become the chief cornerstone, because what you do there, you do more in your dad's church today than your dad himself and than any of your sibling, any of your family members, and it's amazing. I'm sure no one could have written the script to know that this is what was going to happen. So it's very refreshing to see that. I know because I communicate with you, and I know about the church and all of that. So well done to you. I'm gonna get to the next part, but I want to read some comments. Michelle again, and she says, if the church don't get it right, the world won't get it right. It's true. And even in church, we need to start talking about this thing. And, for those who are members in our church, they know that I talk about some of these things. And it's very important that I think we become even more open in talking about things like this, because then it helps people to learn and put them in a good place. Elaine said yes, and she calls it churchianity destroys. She said churchianity destroys openness to address these issues and correct a path to ensure preservation of Christian principles, but not damaging a person's future or spiritual advancement. And then we've got Godfrey Ugbo. Oh, Godfrey Ugbo, God bless you. Hey, I've not heard from you for a very long time, so it's good to have you here. He's in Boston, Massachusetts in the USA. Parents can also take classes on how to start the conversation. There are books out there to help. Yeah, so conversation about sexuality. Parents should do that. We've got Daniel Ikpeji said, watching from Ughelli. Nice to have you with us. God bless you. We've got Mami Noram said, Norum from Hertfordshire. God bless you. And then we've got Deaconess Former said, listening to you, I believe you are truly loved and blessed. Not everyone gets the chance. I'm super proud of you. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Finesse said, question for the guest. What do you advise people who are from backgrounds that don't encourage divorce, but they are currently in marriage like your former marriage? Yes, so maybe talk about that before I go into, our time is ticking. I need to get into your second marriage.
Okay.
Do you want to answer this first? I get into that, yeah.
I think if you get into the second marriage, because hopefully it ties in.
It will tie. Yeah. So you got married again. Yeah. So you were married, you got out after 5 years, and then you were single for how long?
2 years.
For 2 years.
The divorce was in 2006. Yeah.
Yeah. So the divorce was in 2006.
Yeah. Finalized in 2006. Yes.
Okay. And then you got remarried 2008.
Yes.
Yeah. And you were in that marriage for 14 years.
For 14 years, yes.
14 years. But that marriage, doesn't exist anymore. You've divorced the second time. So tell us, what's this thing about divorce?
Okay, so I'm going to say something, and I need people to really understand what I'm saying and don't put on the, like Elaine says, the churchianity hat on. We need to be open. Yeah. So I got remarried, and this time when I got remarried, I was like, my mom used to say something. She said, when you're marrying again, you don't marry people from these two particular tribes because this and this. She was very, very like that, very one of those women. And the guy that I got married to was from this particular tribe. And I was
was from the tribe your mom said, oh my God.
Not married. So now I have 2 children from the first guy. And so I met this guy and we got married. And the reason for getting married, so I'm going to be open, was because I was already pregnant. I was pregnant with my 3rd child with this guy. And so my parents was like, okay, here we go again. History is repeating itself. You brought pregnancy, and as a result, you got married. Now, second time, shall I say, you're doing this thing again. But not only that, for me, I was like, okay, this time around, I made a conscious decision. I was like, okay, I want to come back home. Home mean I want to marry someone Nigerian this time. I don't want to be outside. Yeah. And so I felt like, this person, but the marriage the Bible says, do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers. But also the Bible also says that, I believe in Acts, it says, if the believing spouse and the unbelieving spouse is willing to stay with the believing spouse, the righteousness or something along those lines of the believing spouse will cover the unbelieving spouse. Yeah. So I remember when I read that passage, I was like, okay, so the prayer intensified for the salvation of this person. Because
so you knew that this was an unbeliever.
I knew, but
then you interpreted that scripture to mean that your own salvation will cover it.
So the story was that, he goes to this church, sometimes he goes to that church, he goes to that church. So I was like, okay, you're going to also, you need to come to my church. This is what, so he came, I invited him. This is the role I play in my dad also happens to be the pastor. So it was difficult from the very get-go. He was the person, unlike the first guy, that I have my mind. This is what I'm going to do. Very outspoken, very, don't want to mention the tribe that he's from, but he's very, very one of those, the Nigerians who are very loud. So from that
tribe. Don't mention the tribe.
Not going anywhere. So, but he was very, very headstrong. And so for me, it was from the very beginning, had arguments that was, because I was pregnant with my daughter at that time, my 3rd child, it felt as if I was going to miscarry because of the kind of arguments we used to have. But it was very intense. But I was like, okay, this time I have to make it work because I'm a pastor's child. I've already been divorced. So if I divorce again, people will count for me. Not people outside of the church. The church will begin to count for me. And so that's why year 1, year 2, year 3, it wasn't an easy ride. It wasn't, it was a very difficult ride, but I was like, no, we're going to try and make it work. We're going to try and make it work. We're going to try and make it work. I prayed, called people, called pastors. We prayed until it got to the point I was like, I was battling that it just got to a point that there was so many things. I don't want to go into any much details,
Yeah.
but it just got to that point. I was like, that's it. I can't do anything. So it's not a case of glorifying divorce. I'm talking about my story.
Yeah.
Because I know that, going back to that question that that person asked, there are many people who are married but single. So I
Yeah.
use that word, and I got that terminology in my second marriage. I was married but single. So you go out, oh, Mrs. X and all the likes, but you know that you're single. You know that you're just in that place where you know that you're single. There's no, yes, there was communication. I'm not saying there was no laughter. We had some good times, but in the grand scale of things, we had no business being together.
Okay. I think your story, your experience, one of the things that, because as a pastor, I meet a lot of ladies who, they are in church, they love God, and there are good guys, but they are looking for, because you have had experience now of maybe the kind of guy you were thinking and all, especially with the first one, okay, you were just pushed. The second one, maybe he ticked the bossy, like he ticked the
The guy
bossy.
on the edge, he's exciting. He's
Exactly,
great.
it's exciting. So I
That's
mean, this lady, so I want a guy who's exciting, on the edge, and I sometimes I wonder, I say, what's this thing about the edge? You, who is a child of God, who love God. So no, it's not that he's an unbeliever. He's a Christian, but it's not all those spiro. You will hear some people that don't want those spiro, like pastor, or they want somebody on the edge. So they would turn down good brothers, somebody you have known, you have seen them, maybe they were even a youth in the church when you were there. So you've seen them, you know how they behave.
Yeah.
You know their character from time. Not that, okay, because when somebody wants you, they can behave to suit what they believe you want. But
Exactly.
somebody whose character you have known for years is a good guy, everybody will come to you say no. Okay, let me borrow Pastor Princess word. Why do church girls like bad boys?
Because excitement. It's excitement.
Which
We want
excitement? Okay, look at the excitement now. Where did the excitement? Where did the excitement carry you to? Excitement.
And then you're not thinking of what will happen. You're thinking of the excitement. You're thinking the buzz. You're thinking the dressing and the Chanel bags, the Gucci bag. You look so lovely, and it's just everything is
Because
just
in fact, some people write people off just for dress. We had what do you call it, love feast. So I did a program in the love feast. I got some ladies, I gave them balloons, and we were reading out something. Okay, this guy shows up, he doesn't have a good dress sense. You wear this. You say, if at the point where, before we even, old dress sense was at this thing, many of them are pop. Say no chance. But I got back and I was thinking, if somebody does not have fashion sense, yeah, you can help them. You can help them. You, who is the lady you can't, should you throw away a good guy because they don't dress well? That is something you can influence and change. But you not, I've seen it a lot. But now, okay, with your experience, you have experienced the one you were pushed into. You have experienced a man on the edge because of buzz and all of that. Haven't seen all that. If you were to advise a single lady today, would you advise them to go for somebody who is on the edge, boss, and all that, what would be your, because at least they want, if they don't listen to me, they will listen to you, because you grew up in London. You came when you were 11, so really your life was London. You grew up in London. You've been there, you've done that, you've been to the place, you have experienced the Western world, and you are a church, not just a church girl now, you are a church woman, and you're doing fantastic work with your dad's church. In fact, the way you carry that vision in your heart is worth emulating. Do you understand? And you have had these experiences. Please let me, so that me myself, I can also learn. Maybe I'm advising wrongly. Is it all these ladies, should that man on the edge, is that the man to go for?
So the thing is, there's a word, there's a saying that goes, don't judge a book by its cover. The man on the edge, if we just put that in one particular bracket, then we'll totally close the door to everybody, because he's on the edge. What I will say to people, and I say to people all the time, is that I laugh and joke now because it's my story.
Yeah.
And I will put my hand up, I will talk about my story till kingdom come. It's my story. You cannot castigate me like that pastor's wife any longer, because it's my story. I stand in my power in my story, because it's my story, and I've learned so much from my story. Yeah. But what I can say is that it's the understanding. You can have a 50-year-old woman, you can have a 60-year-old woman, not because you are matured in age, makes you have understanding.
Yeah.
Until you have understanding, you will still continue to do the same thing, and the vicious circle continue. There is a spiritual element. Let's not negate that part.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about having a basic understanding of things, you have to sit down and really think, is this person where I can envision a future with? When we look at it from the business,
don't lose your line of thought, because what you just said now, that you could be 50 years old, you could be how many years old, and there you could be, because of lack of understanding, be caught up in the same mistake, the same circle. I just want to read a comment by somebody, and I want you to continue that up, because it just ties in. Maggie said, I got remarried, but it feels like I married the same person again. It's starting to feel like I'm under a curse. I am in a destiny destroying marriage. It's really breaking me mentally. So they were married before, they got out, they've married another person, and it just looks like a Mr. A, which was divorced, is come in the name of a different.
That is it. That's why I said understanding, because the truth of the matter is that at the time I got remarried in 2008, I was dating different people, but I was dating them on the premise that we should get married. Not that I understood what marriage was.
Yeah.
But it was all I knew. Because I've come from being a young girl, pregnant, married. I don't know anything about dating. I just know marriage. So now I'm dating, and I'm like, what does this thing is? Let's get married. And so some of the men could sense the desperation. Do you understand? So that's why when I got with this person, and then I got married, and I was like, marriage, he was like, okay, let's do so. So I just like, okay, fantastic, thank you. That chapter is closed forever. It's understanding. We need to get to the point. That's why I say, if you're 50 or 60, if you don't get to the point of understanding life, because we have life, we'll never fully get it. But who am I as a person? Understand. She talked about under a curse. I said there's the spiritual element. I made reference to the spiritual element. But you have to understand your life. You understand your family, the pattern. Again, like I said, I was speaking to my younger sister a few days ago, and we're talking about our family and the patterns that every family have their own patterns. Look at all of those things, because we get to, especially as Africans, when you get to this age, for ladies, you're not married yet. What is happening? What is happening? What is happening? You need to get to the point where you sit down, lock off all the voices, and really come to yourself. That's why I said to you, when it was coming to the end of the first marriage, I said I found my voice, and music was a catalyst that helped me to find that voice. That said, no, you people can talk all the talk, but no, we're going to get this divorce. That's why with this guy now, it was a case of, I said, let's get married. And so we got married. And so now I'm dating. And so when we're coming to the end now, there was a lot of backwards and forwards because I was thinking about those years back. I was thinking about what will people say. I was thinking about all sorts. And I remember I was talking to somebody who was really close and was counseling. And she said, I can't tell you to divorce him, but I would tell her so many different things. And she was like, you need to make up your choice. So one day I'm like, yeah, I'm going to leave him. The next I'm like, no. The next day I'm like, oh, the children, I have 2 children with him. I have 2 children. It will be like this. It will be like that. But you have to understand yourself. And I don't regret the fact that I've been married twice. Anybody that comes and says, oh, you've been married twice and you call your pastor's child, you're wasting your time because it has no effect on me. It's understanding who you are. And I will not tell Maggie to say, leave your marriage. Maggie needs to get to the point of understanding for herself. And what is God saying? Because we're perfect. We have a perfect example of the dearly departed Osinachi, who passed away 3 years ago. She was being beaten. It was domestic violence, but she stayed there. Horrible. She's dead and gone now. The case is now resurrected because now they finalized and they said they're going to put the man, he's going to die. So now the children have lost the mother and also lost the father.
Yeah, which is that case is a very sad case.
It's a very sad case. That's why I said there are many people who are married but single and in church. And those are the ones, unfortunately, I have to say this, who really annoy me because they want to come across as if we are holier than thou. We are better than you because we've been married for 1 billion years. I'm sorry. Good for you, but that's your journey, not mine. Everybody has their own journey. So it's about having an understanding of who you are. What exactly is your journey? Because I speak to a lot of people. I'm a coach. I coach so many people, especially women. And I say to them, tell me who you are. The first thing they tell me is that I am Mrs. X, Y, and Z. I'm like, that's not who you are. Tell me who you are. I don't care if you are Mrs. or the mother to the nations. Who are you? And that's where we lose it because we don't know who we are. We find our identity under the guise of I'm married, or I'm this person's sister, or I'm that person's mother, or I'm that person's auntie. Who are you? When you have an understanding of who you are and you feel comfortable and confident within yourself, you will know that, finding that man that is on the edge, that is this, but is not really in Christ, it's grass that looks greener on the other side, but it's not actually green.
Wow. I think I have to bring you back again for another episode because our time is gone. And I think there's still a lot to cover. I just read a few things. We've got the currency farmer said those feelings are fleeting, it doesn't last.
Exactly.
Yeah, so she's talking about when you're going with the boss feeling, and if that and that's why what you said is very key. Knowing who you are. You can't be missing water with oil and expect it to blend. It's not going to blend
at all.
You can't miss for those who know what Gary is, how would I call it, cassava flakes with sand and expect it to blend.
Exactly.
It wouldn't. So knowing who you are, and first of all, if you're a Christian, you are a believer. The Bible says you cannot be unequally yoked together with unbelievers. And you can't change anybody.
No.
You can't. Even,
sorry to interject. That was that was one of my main prayer. Not only prayer, I was doing, so I was trying to change him. Trying to change it. And I'll be like, you have to come to church. You have to come to church. It's been months. People are like, where are you? It's always me and the children going to church. You have to come to church. Oh, I will come to church if you wake up early and make breakfast for me. So I wake up early to make. So it's all of those things because you have to come to church. So when you come to church, I'll be like, oh yes, he's in church.
And the problem with that is that at the end of the day, you come to a point where you even start, like if we use that church scenario, you start thinking to yourself, your children are getting missed messages.
That's it.
Yeah, missed messages where, mommy goes to church and says we have to go to church. Daddy doesn't go to church. Mommy thinks this thing is serious. Daddy doesn't think it's serious. And once the children then get to the point where they are adults and can decide for themselves, they're most probably not going to go to church. The larger percentage will not go. Only a few.
my daughter that my two younger ones, but my
Yeah.
daughter that I had with him last year, she turned around and said, because they saw it and they see that he's a very toxic man. She actually said to me, she's 16 now, so 15. She said, "Mommy, you should have left that a long time ago." So many people stay in the marriage, oh, because I have children. You're causing more damage than good.
All right. Fene said, "You can make it work has destroyed many glorious destinies regarding the single married people. Godly advice and programs like this will be of great help to all." It's true. I mean, it's better not to get into a marriage than to get into a bad marriage.
That's it.
Yeah, because it's and that's why, no matter how old you are, yes, want people to get married early and be able to start their lives on time, but don't marry just to please people.
No.
If the person is not right, they don't love God like you love God. This person doesn't love God and they profess to love you. How can they truly love you when they don't love God, the God that you love? Don't you know that whatever they are feeling for you is not going to, before you know, when the feelings have subsided, you discover that you'll be asking yourself, how did we come together? What really connected myself and this person?
Exactly.
So I think it's very important that people make the right decisions. And also, don't throw away the godly brothers and sisters that God has put around you. I think it's very
But
important.
also for the godly brothers, obviously speaking as a female,
Yeah.
they should not be shy to approach the female.
Yeah.
You need to the woman. The thing with women is that they want their man to take charge. Well, not take charge in such a sense that you be bold and take the step.
Yeah.
But if you're hiding behind whatever, then she's going to put you in a friend zone and leave you in a friend zone.
Friend zone. Friends is another problem. We had a conversation about friend zone. Oh my God. Oh, I have to bring you back for another episode. All right, let me read the comments and then we can wrap up. Ellen said, "True, Pastor, fashion sense can be changed. However, maybe it is that after being in previous relationships, ladies are not as tolerant or patient enough to groom another person." Yeah. I think a lot of people have lost patience these days as well. She said, especially if that lady has fear of the same things happening again.
Understanding and working with God.
Hello?
You go crying now.
Hello? Can you hear me? I was hearing some sound in the background.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you, but there was somebody talking.
Yeah. There was a sound in the background. Okay. I think the person's God is off now. All right. So we've got Maggie said, amen. Ami Kano said, "This is so sweet. I've thoroughly enjoyed this talk. There's so much reality in this." Yes, indeed. Fene said, "Talk with the missus is very important for those that are not yet married to avoid learning in a hard way." That's true. Dion Morgan said, "Greetings from Florida. The conversation is great, eye-opening. Thank you for sharing. Usikaro, you are beautiful. Your story will help others to heal and don't know how to speak out." Ami Kano said, "I hope there is a part 2. I told you I have to bring you back. I hope there's a part 2 to this topic. So much to learn." Yes, I'm going to get her back for another episode where we can, get even deeper, because there are a number of things that, I would like to ask questions about as well. You've raised, 4 children. You've raised them almost as a single parent. even
All
though
through,
in that
even though I was
time,
married as well.
yeah, you've been in marriage, but it's almost like you've had to carry this alone. I want to also get to the fact that, where you felt rejected by church folks. Okay, thank God that God led your dad to start up a ministry where obviously that church did not reject you, and how you have now been transformed to become a cornerstone of the church, and one that the church can rely on. I would want to talk about that, because I think that there are people who have been broken, battered, and that needs to know that they are not finished, and that there's so much in them. And then I want to then be able to get into the youth work that you do, and look at the challenges that youths in our present day face, and how we can all impact the next generation in a positive way, not just to avoid the mistakes, but also to be the best that they can be. So there's a lot to still cover, and I know how to get Magdalene back, and she cannot say no to me, so she's coming back. Don't worry. There are people who cannot say no to Pastor Moses. She happens to be one of them. Okay, so Pastor Princess said, church brothers, please don't lead with God told me that you are my wife. They don't like it.
No.
It's the way you're coming to speak. If you're a church brother, you want to go and speak to a sister, don't go and tell them that, don't let your line be, God told me that you are my wife.
No,
They don't like it.
It's a complete turn off.
Now you are hearing, they don't like it. Don't say it, so that I don't come to me, Pastor, pray for me. I'm speaking all this that they are not agreeing. Maybe it's the line you are using. So use the one they will like, so that they can receive it.
The Bible says we are in the world, we're not of the world. But the fact that we're in the world, we need to have some understanding of how to relate.
Yeah.
And not go, when we come to church, it's like we close the door to the world, and we have a different mindset and personality in the church. Then when we finish church and we then interact in the world. No.
All right. And then she also said, thank you for sharing your story with us. God bless you. And Elaine said, lovely conversation. Definitely much more to discuss and learn. Yes, I'm going to get her back. Magdalene, thank you so much. It's been a joy having you. Before we say our final words, I want to make some few announcements. Guys, you know that I'm hosting a 2-night revival in the US. We're hosting it on our evangelistic platform. It's going to be great. 12th of July and 13th of July. Pastor Princess, I hope you'll be back to the US by then. You have to be on ground. So we need you guys to sign up for it. It's free of charge, but we need to know all those who are attending. So please do sign up. You'd see the sign up link in the comment section on any platform that you have joined this broadcast from. It's going to be a very powerful, life-changing program happening July 12th and 13th. So, and those of you who live in the US or have family, friends in the US, please send them the details, get them to sign up so they can also be part of it. Also, Prayer Fest is coming up. This is our premier conference here in London. It is always a powerful time. People come from different parts of the world to be part of it. So I'm looking forward to seeing you there in this edition, May the 25th to June the 1st, a week of intense visitation. And I am going to be in Italy next week I'm hosting a Leaders and Ministers Conference under my evangelistic platform. The Pastors Network arm of my evangelistic platform is a one-day conference, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m., Saturday the 17th. So get All those of you in Italy, join us there and mobilize others to be there. Now you are aware of the notable ladies retreat. I think my wife was telling me that a lot of people have signed up for this. I hope they still have space for those who are still interested. If you are interested, then take the details. The QR code is there and sign up for it. It's happening in June and you will be blessed. If you're in Florida, my wife is there this weekend. She's ministering at Christian Life Center in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I think she's ministering on Saturday. I think Saturday is just for the women. It's like a banquet on Saturday. And then on Sunday to the entire church. So be there. You are going to be blessed. God has put a word in her mouth for you. Join me tomorrow morning for Anzam Privé by 6 a.m. We're going to have a refreshing time. All right, Magdalene, please give us your final words for all those who have joined us today before we say bye.
Okay, so I just want to say that for those who are in a situation where they are married but single, male or female, talk to God. You need to have a good relationship with God and have that understanding. Be at peace with whatever decision that you choose to make. If you choose to stay, if you choose to leave, do not make decisions based on what will people say or what, because I have children. Be at peace within yourself first. That's the most important thing. That's what I want to say for those who are married but single. I want to say for the singles out there who are yet to get married, don't go with the flow and think that, okay, because everybody's doing so, I need to do so. The thing I have to say to you, if everybody's jumping off the cliff, will you also jump off the cliff? You need to think of it that way. And for the ladies, don't say, oh, because he's exciting, he's this. Think about the future. Can you guys have a future together? Can you work together? Can you plan together? Even if he doesn't have everything and you have something, he doesn't have everything. Can you guys work together? And is he willing to work with you? That you guys plan a future. Those are the bases. Obviously, having Christ at the center of your decision is very, very important. And also for our church folks, take away your judgmental hats. It's not taking you anywhere. It's not going to take you anywhere. Take away your judgmental hat. The world is changing. The world has changed. We are in a different time. We need to go with the flow and understand that the church is a hospital with sick people. Just because we come in and say hallelujah, praise the Lord, doesn't mean that everything is there. Just because we come in smiling and we have the clothes on, let's take off our clothes and you see the scars and you see the bruises. Take away this. Some people have been battered and bruised. Some people are coming from different. So don't come over judgmental hats. And finally, I want to say that in every situation, let's always have God at the center of our focus. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. So when we have that fear of God and walk with God and have a reverence for God, knowing who he is and knowing him for yourself and having a relationship with him, not because your parents are pastors or your family members are pastors, you have a relationship with him. You be at peace regardless of whatever's happening around you. So that's what I want to say.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. I'm just going to add a final word by saying, today's decision defines or determines tomorrow's reality. So whatever decisions you're making today, who to marry, and all of that, it's very important that you have the future in mind. Is there a future with this thing? Because today's decision will define and determine tomorrow's reality. Those who operate just by today's feeling and how they feel today, many times live to regret tomorrow. So it's always important that we can look far. And when you think that's the way God operates, God does not lead today just for today. He leads today for what will happen tomorrow. And God sent his son Jesus. It was not just for that day, more than 2,000 years ago. He saw today. He saw even the years after now. And I think that if we can put ourselves in such positions, we will do better. we will live better, and our lives will never be the same. I want to bring you very special appreciation, Magdalene, for joining us today. I'm sure a lot of people have learned from your story. I spoke to you and I said, I would love to have you on this podcast, and I want you to share your story. And I like the fact that you were real, open, and transparent with your story. You will not know how many people you have affected today by the things you've shared, your story, and how it will help so many across different nations of the world, in North America, across Europe, Africa, and in the Caribbean islands, South America, where people watch this broadcast from, and many who watch it even after now, both on Facebook, on Instagram, and on YouTube. So thank you for being with us today as our special guest on this podcast. People, if you have not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, then do that. It's Pastor Moses GCF or the FMC TV. In fact, subscribe to both, okay? Follow us on all our social media pages and keep connecting to the beautiful broadcast that we bring on this platform. Tomorrow morning, 6 a.m., we have our Zion Prevail prayers, which we do Monday through Friday every week. And we see the hand of God performing great miracles. This morning, we had a testimony of a guy who was healed of HIV, and how God, and he said from the day we prayed for him on the platform, all the symptoms just started, leaving him. And we read out the testimony this morning, and he listed all the symptoms. But after the prayer, he just noticed everything was going. We have not seen him physically. He just wrote to us on that platform. We prayed, read his prayer request, prayed. And so when he noticed that the symptoms were, he said, let him go and do a test. He went for the test, and HIV negative. So it's okay, you do a 30 days test. Did a 30 days test. Okay, come 60 days test. Then the final test, 90 days test. And it's all negative, completely free. So God is doing great things. So join us, and I believe God will do your own. This is where we are going to love you and leave you and keep the Mrs. Prayer. And by the way, Magdalene mentioned it, on Saturday is my birthday. So pray for me, okay? And, that the Lord will continue to do his work. I won't give you prayer point. You should know what to pray for, Pastor Moses. Yeah, Saturdays. That's 2 days from today.
2 days from today, yeah.
My birthday. So pray for me, okay? God bless you. Love you guys. And bye.
Bye-bye.